Hey everyone, how's it going? It's been a while since I did I don't want to say a real reading because I think all readings are real, but since I did an in-depth, not timed reading, and I got these beautiful new cards, and I'm dying to use them. They're called the Ocean Tero, and I'm just gonna run over and get the box because I didn't bring it. It's called the Ocean Tarot deck. Looks like this. It's absolutely gorgeous. That's what the backs of the cards look like. Actually, I think I have it upside down. Let me see. Yeah. So that's the box, Ocean Tarot. And as you guys know, I love the mermaids and the Little Mermaids. So of course, when I saw this deck, there was no question as to whether or not I was going to get that thing. And then I also got this deck for Christmas from a good friend of mine. I haven't even opened it yet. I'm actually opening it now. And it's about Bible verses, right? It's 101 Bible verses for women. 101 best loved scriptures to inspire, cherish, and share. So maybe we'll get one of those later. Maybe we won't. I am not sure. I also have this new deck I've been working with, the Mushrooms, Daily Doses of Wisdom. So we'll see what happens because I don't know. I feel like just throwing down some cards. So hope everyone had a good week. We're coming up on Friday. We had some interesting This Might Hurt readings this week. If you haven't seen those, go check those out. I also post those on TikTok every morning at Your Place. It's YOURPLACENM, Your Place, New Mexico, and as well as here on YouTube. So I think this video is going to be a bit long for TikTok. So this will probably be a YouTube only reading. We'll call it a bonus reading. I want to think of a question that we can ask that's going to keep the reading somewhat, I don't know. I don't want to say ethical, but ethical, if you know what I mean. I want it to be intentional. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for, intentional. So I'm just going to talk a little bit while I shuffle until I figure out what question I want to ask. I had a friend ask me today about jobs and purpose and life purpose, and I also do shadow work usually in these readings. So maybe the question I'm going to ask for the collective tonight is, what energy can I bring to my current job or school or whatever word you want to put in there? What energy can I bring to my daily activities, maybe, that will put me in line with my purpose and help me feel fulfilled? So yeah, that's a big long question, but what energy can I bring to my situation to help me feel more fulfilled and to put me on the path of my purpose? So that is our question. What energy can I bring to the table to put me on the path of my purpose and to help me feel more fulfilled in what I'm currently doing? I wonder what that might be. I feel like we could always find the fulfillment in things, but it's easier just to ask and get the question answered, right? So we've got a few cards that jumped out. They're all on their side, which is kind of funny because I was just saying how we can always find it, right? So these are going to be whichever way, right? So when they come out on their side, it just means that the energy from the universe has not decided if it's going to be in the upright or if it's going to be in the reverse, but we've caught it in the middle, right? The energy is just coming in, which I kind of like. I kind of like that we got, what do we have here? 4 cards where that's the case. So we've got the 2 of Spears, which would be the 2 of Swords, and the 2 of Swords in the upright is about a decision, right? And I noticed in this one, the Spears are actually blocking kind of her solar plexus chakra there. So feeling like protecting yourself a little bit, right? Keeping things at bay, maybe at arm's length. Kind of talking about 2 opposing forces, maybe, and balancing them. So I tell my group all the time in my IOP that we have to balance our light and our dark, right? And we have to balance the 2 extremes. We got to find the middle. Until we figure out what the 2 extremes are, we don't know what the middle is. So maybe this card is about figuring out what those extremes are, right? If you have a job or you have a situation or you do things throughout the day that you're just not fulfilled at all. It may take a degree of over fulfillment in order to find the balance of it, right? So a lot of times in life, we don't always get the job that fulfills us. I actually was lucky enough to do so twice, actually. So when you're looking at jobs and you're making decisions, like when you're trying to take jobs or leave jobs or get jobs, are you paying more attention to the salary than you are the work? So if you're doing that, maybe it's time to start looking a little more at the work that you're doing and a little less at the salary. I'm not saying that we can't look at salary. We have to look at salary. Money's a thing. It's an energy in the world that we have to pay attention to. But I've always been the kind of person that I'd take the lower paying job if it meant I was going to be working more closely with my values. And so this might even be trying to define your values to figure out what that balance might be. But that's just, thinking about the things, like trying to figure out what is it that fulfills me. Next card out, the Knight of Treasure. So I'm guessing in this deck that treasure is pentacles, but I'm just going to look it up because I did not check that before we started, and maybe I should have. But the Knight of Treasure, so this would be obviously the Knight. It's an earth element, yeah, so I think it's the pentacles. So Knight of Treasure being in the upright, it would mean hardworking and practical, and in the reversed, irresponsible and a workaholic. So again, finding that balance. And again, we're talking about work. So I'm glad that the cards are answering about work. I don't often do readings outside of shadow work, but yeah, interesting. So finding the balance of the two things. Are you, what did it say? It said, I'm going to look it up again. Knight of Treasures, hardworking and practical, or are you going to be irresponsible and a workaholic? So I don't know how I feel about the words irresponsible and workaholic being in the same sentence, but somewhere in the middle of those two is where we need to be, right? Hardworking, but not so hardworking that we become a workaholic. We can't make our whole life about our job, guys. Your job is not your identity. And as I say that, I will say that your calling could be your identity. And I say that because I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about how people have a tendency to identify themselves as their jobs. Or even in like my IOP, people identify themselves as an addict. I kind of hate that. I kind of hate that AA makes you stand up and say, I'm an alcoholic, because I'm not an alcoholic. I'm a person. I happen to struggle with addiction, but I'm a person first, right? And so I like to give that space between you and the thing. And I feel like when we talk about our jobs, like I say I'm a counselor, I'm a person who practices counseling, maybe. But there's also the part that's the calling, right? So when we talk about the calling, that's the thing you do whether you get paid or not, right? So I have a tendency to counsel people in shadow work here on YouTube with the readings, or I go do readings for events in the area, live and in person, or I work with my friends, right? They call and they ask questions and they're like, can you help me out with this thing? So I kind of live that. I just am lucky enough to have a job where I get to do that and get paid. That gives me fulfillment. When my calling can be my career, that gives me my fulfillment. And then, am I overworking or am I just living my truth? It's a question. Who knows? Next card out is the Ace of Spears. So thinking about things in a new way, right? Maybe you've never thought about your job being your calling, or your calling being your job, or your thing that you get paid for being the thing that fulfills you. Maybe you're starting to think about it that way. Maybe you're feeling like I can't think about it that way, but that's kind of the question, right? The universe is even asking you, how do you want to think about this thing? And then the next card would be the Light of Coral. I think that's wands in this deck. I'm going to look it up, but and I think lights are pages, but let's look. I love the cards though. Look at the imagery on these cards. The Light of Coral. And I like that the light is behind her because it means she's facing her shadow. Right? And she's leaving a wake of bubbles and waves behind her. Right? And that reminds me, just the word wake reminds me of an Alan Watts quote. Well, not quote, but where he was talking about When a boat leaves a wake behind it, it's not the wake that drives the boat. It's the boat that leaves the wake, right? We don't want the tail wagging the dog here. We want to be the dog wagging the tail. We want to be intentional about the things that we're doing, right? And so let me get back to the light of coral. Let's see. Spears, coral. Yes. Oh no, it's night. It looks like light to me. It does say light. Oh, 8. Ha! I can read. All right, 8 of coral. My bad, you guys. I am so sorry. Told you I like this deck, but it is brand new. So the 8 of coral would be speed and progress forward, right? And reverse meaning would be slow and lacking speed. So this is balanced. This is just the right speed. And I still stand by my original interpretation of the card, right? With the light behind her, facing the shadow, and just being balanced in the light and the dark, and leaving the wake behind her, and understanding that it is the wake, the boat that's creating the wake, and not the wake that's pushing the boat. I love that. Love that. Interesting little reading. I'm kind of excited because I don't know that I've ever done one like this before. Yeah, so let's see what else wants to come out. Actually, maybe let's clarify some of this stuff, right? It's all kind of up in the air and undecided, so maybe tell me a little bit about this 2 of Spears. Okay. The 2 of Spears that we talked about with the decisions, right? We got the Empress, and that tells me to use your... Look at the beautiful card, guys. Oh my God, it's just freaking gorgeous. But the Empress, the number 3 card, talking about using that feminine, divine, feminine, nurturing, mom quality energy. Be gentle with yourself. That's what I see in this card. Be gentle with yourself. And the purity, right, with all of the white in there. And she doesn't even, and she even got her knees bent the way you're supposed to bend them. Like if you took an etiquette class back in the 1940s or whatever, you know, women had to sit with their knees off to the side and the whole thing. I don't do that because, I don't know, I wear pants. But, yeah, that divine, nurturing, abundant. Now, typically in tarot decks, the Empress is shown as pregnant, but she doesn't look too pregnant to me. I wouldn't mind having that figure, but it could be at the beginning of that gestation, right? So maybe it's that idea, but letting things, maybe maybe that's what it is. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of the idea, and let the idea evolve, if you will. And that went with our Light of Spears. Our 2 of Spears. I'm still calling it the Light of Spears. I wonder why that is. Actually, I don't wonder why that is, because nothing is ever coincidental, right? And I keep saying light of. What is the meaning of the word light to you, right? This is, when we talk about light, are you talking about something you see, like a spotlight? Are we talking about light as in light and heavy? You know, carrying something and then you put it down and then, you know, there's a lightness that exists. Or when we lay down our energies, right? When we lay down our burdens, we feel a little bit lighter. So it could be an emotion. It could be a visual thing, and it could be a physical thing. So what does light mean to you? Because I've said it quite a few times tonight. Yeah, think about that. And then I was saying it with the Light of Coral. What does coral mean for you? So we would do colors. I guess it would be between creative and safe. But anyway, let's ask about this Knight of Treasure. Let's ask about this work. I mean, that's literally the job card. So it's going to be overworking, or is it going to be balanced and responsible? What's the deal with that when we talk about our job or our purpose, our fulfillment? Tell me about this Knight of Treasure. Tell me about this Knight of Treasure. Knight of Treasure. Maybe there's no more to say about it. Oh, all right. That's a lot of cards. We're not going to take that many. Tell me about this Knight of Treasure. They are kind of new, so it's going to take me a minute to introduce myself to them, for them to introduce themselves to me. Knight of Treasure. Knight of Treasure. Still nothing. Okay. One more and then I'm going to move on. Knight of Treasure. All right, I think the universe likes what I had to say about that. No further clarification necessary. And again, that was are we going to be hardworking and responsible, or overworking and making this our identity? You know, really consider what that means. When we talk about the Ace of Spears, right, and that new way of thinking, and how are we going to think about this job? You know, do we have to think about it the old way? Or are we going to be looking at the the salary portion, or we're going to start looking at it as fulfillment. But what is the new way of thinking that we need to come up with? Oh, all kinds of cards. I have to laugh because the freaking 8 came out again and I wanted to call it light. So the first one out, to clarify that, Ace of Spears, is the 3 of Treasure. So that would be like the 3 of Pentacles. Look at the treasure, the pentacles in this. I love it because it's like gemstones. But it's about community. It's about the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. And knowing that when we work together, we can actually accomplish more. So in that job that you're looking at, that you're thinking about, are you thinking about who it is you work with? Maybe you need to think about your coworkers, right? Are you working for ethical people? Are you working for people you can get along with? Are you working for people who share the values that you share? To the 4 of Treasure, right? So that is kind of keeping things close to your heart, right? Almost kind of, I wouldn't say hoarding, but I would say guarded. I would say being really thinking about your finances. Of course, we have to think about our finances, right? It's a job. That's what we have to think about. Then we have the 8 of Spears. So the overthinking. Now we're overthinking it, right? Maybe don't be so into, does it have to be the money? Does it have to be the fulfillment? We can ask the universe for whatever we want. Why don't we ask for both? Let's ask for both. Which brings me to this page of Spears, right? That taking the knowledge and turning it into wisdom. If I know I can ask the universe for more than one thing, and I know that money and happiness don't have to have a, there's a word for this, I can't think of it, where they affect each other. I don't want to say a symbiotic, but anyway, a relationship where one affects the other, right? If the more money I have, the less happiness I have, or the more happiness I have, the less money I have. They don't have to affect each other. And I think that's the new way of thinking about it, right? Knowing that I can have happiness and money. I can be fulfilled and make money. I don't have to give up one for the other, because they don't affect each other. And at least for me, this was something I had to really work on and still working on, right? To erase that old belief system that I was given in the way I grew up. And why did I create this belief system around money, where the more money you had, the less happiness you have? Well, because everybody I knew that had money was miserable, and everybody I knew that was happy didn't have any money. Now, does that mean it was the money, or does it mean that those people who had less money were actually happier people to begin with, and the people who had more money were miserable to begin with? But in a 4, 5, 6-year-old child, you don't make those distinctions. So you create this belief system. You make an agreement with the universe. And so we need to identify those limiting beliefs and identify those, agreements that we made with the universe, and see if we want to keep them. Take that new knowledge, put it into practice. Let's get some clarification on the 8 of Corals. 8 of Corals. Tell me about this 8 of Corals. Oh, there was one right there. The 8 of Corals, and we get the 4 of Coral. I like that. So Coral, of course, being the wands. So this would be considered the marriage card in traditional tarot. But there she is by herself. I might actually look this one up in this deck, because I don't see the family and the stability. However, I love the dolphins I'm seeing there. Can you see that? So cute. Dolphins are my favorite animal. I used to live in, what is the place? Oh my God, the underwater place that begins with an A. I know you guys are probably screaming it at me right now. Atlantis. Yes, I think I came from Atlantis in a past life. But yeah, I love the ocean. I love mermaids. I love dolphins. All of it. It's just, I could go on all day about it, but I won't. We're going to look up the 4 of Coral. So the 4 of Coral, we got her in the upright. Celebrations, events, gatherings, reunions, success, stability, parties, happy families, togetherness, teamwork, community, spirit, prosperity, and pride. Yeah, she almost looks like the 6 of Wands to me, right? Or with the victory, with the V. But yeah, she's got a level of self-confidence, right? And when we talk about the 8 of Coral, that doing that, the quick moving energy and balancing that light and dark. Not that 8s necessarily mean balance. I think they mean power. and she's standing in her power, right? And she's standing in her power, and that's going to be the victory that she comes to. And overall, it's like, is it the job or is it the energy you bring to the job, right? If you're going to decide on a job or the things that you do 8, 10, 12 hours a day, ask yourself, is this in line with my values? If my values are acts of service and my job doesn't allow me to do acts of service, then I'm spending an exorbitant amount of my time and my energy and my resources, right, to get paid for something that isn't going to help me on my path and my purpose. Now, I'm not saying this can happen overnight, guys, but I am saying that maybe you work towards that, right? Maybe you work towards that. We all have to do the in-between. We all have to take the jobs we need to pay our bills. But can we work towards this? Can we take a step in the direction of that? Let's start by defining our values, right? Maybe just define your values. See what those things mean to you, and then backtrace it into the job. What we don't see coming at the bottom of the deck, the Ten of Spears. So that would be like the Ten of Swords in traditional tarot. The difference in the traditional tarot, it would be, she would be face down and the swords would be in her back. But in this Ten of Spears, and this, Ten of Spears, making sure they're all around her. It almost gives me a Eight of Swords feel, because it's around her, right? And as a mermaid, she's outside of the water. So mermaids can't live outside of the water, right? So she's not even sure, like she's put herself outside of the water and not given her a way back into the water. And seemingly, right, because she could always go this way. And this spear is different from this spear. So what this tells me is this one is newly laid, right? Because when the beach comes in and it retreats, it's going to push the sand. So this one's been there longer. So this may have been the first one that she turned around, all 8 of them, and this was the last one, and then she gave up in the middle. But let's read what the author has to say about this with the 8 of Spears that we don't see coming. Pearls. I like the pearls. I think the pearls are cups. Corals, wands, spears. We didn't get any major arcana except for the Empress, which is, that mothering, just nurturing energy. Oh, 10 of Spears. Why do I keep saying 8? I'm so off today, you guys, because it looks like an 8. That's why. So the 10 of Spears in the upright is betrayal, backstabbing, bad-mouthing, bitterness, enemies, doormat, breakdown, collapse, exhaustion, ruin, failure, unable to cope, hitting rock bottom, wall cutting, ties, dead end, goodbyes, exaggeration, resentment, disaster, laziness, weariness. You could feel all of that on this path, right, with what you don't see coming. You could feel exhausted from spending energy trying to figure all this out. You could feel betrayed. You could feel all of those things, all those negative things, like I'm finally doing what's right for me, and why isn't the universe giving me my blessings right away, right? And just feeling that betrayal, that sense of it's not coming fast enough. Well, and momentum with your energy, with the law of attraction and all such things, it takes time. It takes time, and it might take until you feel like you can't give any more before it comes to fruition. Because really, if you think about it, and a lot of the shadow work that we do, we always are trying to come up with the solutions to the problems, right? I've tried this, and I've tried that, and I've tried this, and I've tried that. And finally, when I can't try anything left because I have just exhausted my brain, my resources, my logic, and I finally surrender, that's when the thing comes in, right? That's usually when our manifestations work. And that's what this card means, that surrender, that exhaustion state. That's what you don't see coming. So it's going to come at some point, right? All of our blessings are coming at some point. It's just a matter of, are we going to be in the right frequency to receive it? Well, this was fun, you guys. I'm going to go through these cards again, I think, and maybe spend a little more time with them. But thanks for letting me practice them with you tonight. So I'm going to leave it there. You guys take care.